What's up, nail geeks? I am back with Femme Fatale's Monster Edition and Color of the Month and Fiend of the Month polishes to show you guys. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me these last week and a half while I collect my bearings. We have been helping my mom fix her house up after her pipes broke from the storm, and we've also had some damage where we live too. So just know that I'm still creating content and whatnot, but it's been just a little bit of a slower process this last week, but I'm back and I have so much to show you guys this week. So let's dive right into Femme Fatale's March releases. First up is Dead House. This is a magenta when warm to deep purple when cold thermal with a reddish orange matte glitters in 2 sizes. So this has a very creamy-like formula to it, very easy to build up to opacity. Now, I took it up to 3 coats, and I thought that this one was just the slightest bit of a lighter formula in comparison to the others in the set. So in my opinion, I think 3 coats is going to flatter this one the best. Across the board, all of the polishes in the Monster Edition collection applied very well, easy, smooth, creamy, but somewhat light formulas. So somewhat flirting with being acrylic, but just really satisfying on the brush strokes. Now, just FYI, the Monster Edition collection is inspired by the maker Sophie's favorite Goosebumps collections. I know I read those books when I was younger, and I've been considering reading them to my son, but we'll see as he gets frightened pretty easily. Now here on the ice water shot, you can see easy peasy transition from that pink to purple. And next is Fever Swamp. This is a blue when warm to deep purple when cold thermal with neon yellow matte glitters in 2 sizes. This is hands down my favorite in the set. It's so pretty in person, and I think both the warm and the cold states are very flattering. I really like this one. Something about those neon yellow glitters against both of the temperature states are just wonderful. Now this one I took it up to 2 coats and I had really nice opacity with it. It plumped up really well. Now I do want to note that across the board, the glitters kind of make these polishes just a touch thirsty. So I would strongly suggest going in with one of your thicker top coats to finish them off, or a thin coat of some type of glitter smoothing top coat underneath your glossy top coat. That will just make it to where everything's nice and glossy and uniform. Of course, because these are thermals, please note that naturally thermal polishes, at least in my experience, dry down quite flat and really matte, and that's no exception for these. And next is Living Dummy. This is a bright green when warm to red when cold thermal with black matte glitters in 2 sizes. So again, really nice formula. This is another one that was really pretty in my opinion. I really liked the contrast between the warm and the cold state, which you'll see in a moment as we go into the second coat. This is another that I took up to 2 coats and I thought it plumped out really well. Excellent formula here too. Very satisfying, smooth type of finish. And you can kind of see in between my first and second coats just how flat and matte that these dry down. And again, just a touch thirsty. So I had no problems getting these to change between their thermal states. They are very reactive, almost to the point that it was a bit of a game when I was swatching to see how quickly I can get the cold states to stay on my nails for photos. So here on the ice water shot, once again, you can see just how reactive they are. And next is Monster Blood. This is a limeish yellow when warm to grass green when cold thermal with bright aqua matte glitters in 2 different sizes. So this one, I do feel like my swatches kind of showed both the warm and the cold state as being a touch subtle. It is what I would consider more of the same sort of color palette or color family in the temperature states. So I think the video is giving you a bit better representation of what I'm seeing in person. You can obviously see that there is a much deeper green when it is cold, and I think the ice water shot will help demonstrate that really well. Now, when this is warm, it's this brilliant, very limey, I want to say bordering neon type of lime green, and then it transitions over to this nice cool, but still very vibrant green. This is another very flattering one. I think if you have warm undertones, especially if you're medium to deep skin toned, I think this is going to pop very well against you. And And lastly, we have Say Cheese. This is a sunny yellow when warm to orange when cold, thermal with hot pink matte glitters in 2 different sizes. So again, very flattering. This is another one that I think is going to pop really well, especially if you've got medium to deep skin tones. I personally really like this shade of yellow. This is the warm state. And when it's cold, it definitely transitions over to this nice sunny sort of orange shade. Kind of reminds me a bit of a sunset, if you will. Now, I thought it was really interesting that overall, this whole collection has this very strong spooky type vibes to it. But when you look at the color palette just in general, they definitely look like they're this fun transition towards what at least I'm hoping for, I guess, warm weather. So really nice transition shades. Again, I think it just depends on how you look at them. And on the ice water shot, you can see that nice sunset looking appearance, really lovely orange contrast against the yellow warm state. Now, the March color of the month is Safiette, and I think I said that correctly. This is described as a delicate, ruddy burgundy brown base color overtaken with a bright aqua glass fleck shimmer. This is very pretty in person. I was a little worried that the base color wasn't going to pop very well against myself, but I think it definitely took on this neutral sort of tone against me, but it's so pretty. Now, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it to plump it out and really get all the goodies in this one to pop very well. This has a strong foil-like finish when you're done. And when you go in with that 3rd coat, you'll see it just maximizes that beautiful shimmer action. It's absolutely wonderful, very strong in that regard. And I do agree with the official description that that base color is this burgundy brown sort of base, almost like a dark mauve against myself. This does dry down flat, so I'm going to suggest a good glossy top coat to finish off. And finally, we have the Fiend of the month. This is Frosted Gingerbread, described as an orange-based brown crelly filled with assorted neon matte glitters and white accent glitter. Now, this one is only going to be available through the Femme Fatale Facebook group. This is the Fiend of the month color, so this one is not going to stockists. Now, this has a strong crelly-like formula to it. It does have the slightest bit of that almost juicy jelly-like appearance, but it applies quite creamy and rich on the nail. Now, if you go in quite thin and you want to slowly build it up to maximize the pond effect for the glitters so that you'll see the colorful pops in between that base, I would suggest going in for 3 coats, but I took it to 2 normal coats and I thought it was just fine. Now, this does dry down just a touch textured, so I'm going to suggest a glitter smoothing top coat underneath your glossy top coat. Now, I do think that this base color is very warm, and I would absolutely agree. Very true to its inspiration. It's very much what I would consider a gingerbread sort of brown. Now, these are currently available for the pre-sale through Femme Fatale. I will link that below for you guys. They will only be available until March 5th, and I will break all of this information down below. So the Monster Edition and the color of the month will be available to stockists such as Beautometry. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.